Thank you, Madam President, and thank you, Senator Westrom. I'm glad I made it back to answer your question. Here's what I can tell you, members, is that the Line 3 replacement is an important project for not just northern Minnesota, but for all of Minnesota and really, frankly, all of our Midwest region. And there are a number of reasons why it's important, not the least of which is that the current Line 3 is old. It needs to be replaced. And it's a concern for many of us that live up north in terms of continuing to use that line. So I think many of us do support the replacement of Line 3. I personally am going to have to oppose this bill that's in front of us today simply because of the circumvention of the process. I believe strongly in our process that we have in current law, and I'm depending on the PUC to make the right decisions and use their best judgment. But I think ultimately we want to see this project go through. Our dependency on oil as this country moves forward is obviously changing, but it's not changing tomorrow. And I think it's important that as we work through this transition that we make sure that our existing infrastructure is up to speed and safe. So I support the concept of getting the project done, but unfortunately I can't support the bill just because of the circumvention of the process.
Senator Westrom.
Madam President, parliamentary inquiry.
State your parliamentary inquiries.
Madam President, are we under call currently?
Yes, we are under call.
Madam President, is there any excused members today? If so, how many or who?
I am being told there are no excused members.
Very good. Members, Senator Simonson, that's a different answer than I might have thought I would have gotten, but Senator Simonson and members, we just heard that we wouldn't support it because of the process. This has been going on for an inordinate amount of time. Jobs up on the Iron Range or in northern Minnesota that bring such important improvements to the rest of the state with the fuel and the energy that they transport would be a reason that we should step in as a legislature after years of debate. Senator Simonson, the very process that you're talking about, we are the body that created the process or the organization that has any process. And so if they aren't working, it is our duty to have some checks on the process and at some point push it along to say we are the body that is elected by the citizens to do things for our communities and our state. And if the PUC and other processes are bogging things down that get in the way of common sense progress, I would suggest to rethink that as a reason to oppose it is to let the bureaucrats or the process stand in the way of progress. Remember, members, the legislature created the PUC body. The legislature gives them the organic statute or authority to set up a process to review this, but it is fully in our purview to revise or change that process when the process isn't working. And I would submit for as many years and as long as this has gone on and the process has bogged down progress, it is time for the legislature to reassert itself, get this progress going, get the pipeline and the update and the safety it will bring put in the ground and give the rest of Minnesotans the energy sources that we rely so heavily on with the pipelines, which is much safer than putting it on the rail cars and then creating more shipping crisis for our farmers in other parts of the state. I urge your green vote. And Madam President, I'll have a question for Senator Laurie if he shows up before we go to vote.
I believe Senator Simonson had something to add.
Thank you, Madam President and Senator Westrom. You know, you make a lot of points there, and I agree with one of them. The legislature is responsible for creating this process, which we have done. The Public Utilities Commission, whether you like it or not, is the process that we have created to regulate this type of application. And as far as how long the process takes, it is 100% dependent on what your personal perception of too long is. We know that the PUC is scheduled to rule on this project perhaps next month. Bringing this bill forward now, I'm not quite sure what that accomplishes, but I think what's really interesting to me is the fact that Minnesotans depend on the processes that we have in law. And all of the feedback that I'm getting, and I live in northern Minnesota, and I live very near the termination point of this Line 3. So I hear a lot of input from Minnesotans, and what they believe in is our process. They may not like the applicant, they may not like the product that it's trying to move across our state, they may not like exactly where it's going to end up, but they do believe in our processes, and they do want us as legislators to respect that process. My final point is this: if we as a legislature decide that our process is flawed, that we need to make corrections or improvements to our process, then we should do that. But we should do that looking forward for future applicants, for future projects, and not try to get in the midst of an existing project. Thank you, Madam President.
I have Senator